Welcome back, humans and mutants alike. My name is Kyle. I'm with Danny, and once again, we are talking Dawn of X today, specifically. That's how we use language in this house. Specifically, um, we're talking Marauders issue number 3, and I am excited. We did what did we do last week? We did X-Men issue
Yeah, X-Men
number
issue 3 in the Dawn of
3
X series.
in the Dawn of X series, and now we are chugging on to Marauders, and this is where we get a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of inquiry, a little bit of the chess pieces are moving for the stabbings of the back, if you will.
Some eggs
Um,
are popping and plot is moving.
some eggs are literally popping.
uh,
But what do you think of this artwork? This cover art. We got Michelle Bandini. I like it. I dig it. The faces are weird, but I dig Bishop's back. Like that's on point. Look at that butt too.
I mean, the characters are all pretty proficient. Like they're all very anatomically on point and correct. So I don't feel like there's any issues in those departments. But overall, that's kind of the greater echo to the rest of the comic is that everything seems very straightforward and believable, and nothing is too infantilized or overdone. So there's no problems in that realm, but there's nothing that kind of goes outside the box either and kind of pulls you and goes like, "Whoa, what I see what they did here with this like design style and this coloration. Like they really went
Sure.
for something unique." Here in this, it's like there was a lot of good art, but there wasn't anything too memorable. But that's not a bad thing, and it wasn't anything that shocked me like the other issues that we had went through with a lot of the body horror and things like that. So it's like that stuff sticks with you more. Whereas here, it's like everything was good, but good enough to not be noted either for bad or for better.
Sure. Sure. And we're gonna learn a little bit more of this new liquid fluid baby mutant. Um, but
Yeah, what an
let
enticing cover
right.
for an X-Men issue. Half naked dude being stared down by like some of the more popular X-Men roster.
Right. Just like what I do. What's going on? I don't even think he had his memories put in by Xavier yet, so he's probably just like, he's just, there's nothing there, right? He's just a shell of a thing.
It's a rebooted, yeah.
Yeah. He's got to get back online first, so he doesn't know what's going on. He just sees a gun in his face, and we get Iceman, and we get Storm doing her thing. But let's cut into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's go in. We're going in. We're turning the page. Is what we're doing. We're moving on with our lives in this story, and we meet up with we see for the first time the Red Keep, the Blackstone, and the White Palace. And look at these gaudy motherfuckers with their freaking. The Red Keep's interesting. We got like a mushroom palace, right?
Yeah, it's like a literal mushroom kingdom. Like I guess Miyamoto didn't quite have this vision for something like that, but I feel like if he did, it would have been much better because this is probably the best of the three. Just
Sure.
giant red mushrooms are like the foundation and the structure of this giant castle. Whereas
Right.
Blackstone is pretty straightforward, kind of Wizard of Oz style castle.
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of. And then the White Palace just looks like crystal formation.
A
That's
Fortress of Solitude.
Oh yeah, that's what that is. Okay, I was more thinking like stalactites and stalagmites and all those kind of things. Like I
Okay, yeah.
didn't I didn't really go that route with it. But now that you say that, I definitely see Fortress of Solitude. That's spot
Yeah.
on. That's spot on.
A little bit
Huh?
more sparkles though.
Yeah. But yeah, wow, they're just really over the top.
Yeah. Really
and
over it.
and that's cool because in the Red Keep, that's you can see Kitty ship in there. There's like parked in front because that's her digs, right? Because she's
Yep.
the Red Queen, so
Yeah,
that's
she
her fault.
is.
And Sebastian's would be Blackstone, and then Emma's would be the White Palace.
Indeed. And then we cut to the next page, a single page, a single panel page of all three of the palaces in the Hellfire Bay, and it's ridiculous how close they are to one another. I've noted on this earlier, but I have to
It's
note again.
comical. It's
It's
comical.
ridiculous. Like you could throw a stone to each one of their palaces. You could get like a cup and a string, and you could talk to one another through a cup and a string if you get a long enough string.
Yeah, exactly. They could wave to each other. Like they could all be like they could shout and
Right?
have a conversation.
You
Like you're
could.
led to believe from this like setup in the previous page that this is like some sort of like Lord of the Rings like ask Game of Thrones situation where they're like there's these different palaces set about and then they pull back and they're like about 15 feet away from each other.
You would think they would be set up in like almost like the different corners of the bay, like different bays of Krakoa,
Yeah, the
instead of
different
just like this
quadrants.
one bay.
Or you think that they have like, different locations that are accessible to Krakoa all over the planet and parts of the universe. Like maybe be at one of those. But
Right.
instead they're just like right on top of each other.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, we cut from there to the Black King, Sebastian Shaw. And he's walking down, being his chipper self with his fanciness.
He's
He's
dapper. Look at that man.
he's dapper as fuck.
Yeah.
He's got a cane, he's got that weird those chops, those mutton chops,
It's like Martin Van Buren over here.
straight up.
Got his walking gloves, rocking his nice
Mhm.
vest. I mean, yeah, that's as dapper as it gets.
Yeah, and he's just greeting people as he goes through Krakoa, and he goes through a portal, and as he goes through a portal, someone greets him saying, "You're just in time." But we cut to the title card, quick and easy, straight to the point. And this one, no lead up. We're good. We're getting a tease. We're getting a tease, and then we
Because
get to the title
we
card.
transition with him saying, "Today we restore the Shaw bloodline,"
Yes.
which is a big allusion to like, oh, so maybe that's who was on the cover.
Hmm. And we get before that we get reclamation. Mutants around the world are flocking to the island nation of Krakoa for safety, security, and to be part of the first mutant society. The Hellfire Trading Company is responsible for distributing Krakoa's pharmaceuticals to friendly nations and smuggling mutants out of unfriendly ones. Has just added a third leader to its organization, Red Queen Kate Pride, captain of the Marauders, which we learned last issue. The Black King, Sebastian Shaw, had different plans for the position for which his preparations began weeks ago. Dot, dot, dot. And no surprise, we get it straight in this page. Shinobi Shaw, he is in this book, so we're
There's
led
the
to
reveal.
believe there's the reveal. Could have left the title page to like one more page, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess it's two more pages,
Yeah, I could see the balance in that, but yeah, definitely would have fit better.
but I guess they're not. Yeah, no reveal here. We get kind of Sebastian Shaw meeting with Charles, and the five are in the background, and they're just hanging out, being the five, doing the five thing.
Standing next to each other, equal distance, the
Hmm.
five of them.
Yes, exactly.
They do
And
always kind of have that pose. They're like, look at us with the five.
they're always posing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. And he's just like, "Are you sure the resurrection process is complete?" And he's like, "We get Egg." He's just like, "Yes, Pyro." And Pyro is waving, and he looks like he's missing something in there, in the brain. And you mentioned this. He doesn't have the tattoo. So is this the other Pyro, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the St. John Allardyce pyro. It would be I think it was the Simon Lasker pyro,
Simon Lasker.
which is like he's essentially just after this was like when Pyro had been dead, so he took up the mantle as the new Pyro of a different generation. Except he can actually create fire instead of just manipulating it. So that's the only variation. But I think they're also noting that this is supposed to definitely be that one because it's a younger Pyro without the face tattoo. As you were
Without
saying when we
that
talked
face
about it,
tattoo.
that's why they probably gave him the face tattoo so people wouldn't. But it's just like, well, then why even introduce the second Pyro if you have to go to those lengths to kind of make it easier for everybody? Just give us the one Pyro. We would have been fine. It's not like people were like, we need to double up on Pyros.
Exactly.
I mean, St.
Uh,
John was he's much more interesting, anyways. Like with his weird Australian and like kind of campiness from like the Claremont era.
yeah. Um,
But Gold Balls is like, yeah, look at him. He's great. Like, isn't he's ready to go, right? And we're like,
he's
no, we're not
good.
talking about him. Like you talking about your son, you idiot. Like he's like
Yeah.
messing with it. He's messing with like Sebastian's like, oh, okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, he's just too like literal, I guess, in the moment.
Yeah,
He's like, no,
Pyro's,
you idiot.
like Pyro's still waving in the background. And if you notice when
Yeah.
you go back to the like the reclamation page, the image of Pyro when they show him in his little like portrait is the one that's drooling. Like you can kind of see it
Yeah.
if you look close.
Yes.
They use that same face multiple times. Uh,
It's ridiculous. So this is a weird choice, weird option with Pyro. Um, but we cut to Charles is like prepared to meet your son again, and right on time, we get him falling out of his egg, and again, like that's fucked up. They're like a couple feet off the ground, and they just hatch and fall to the ground.
yeah, it seems like they could have, manipulated some sort of like moss system or something to cushion like what
Exactly.
happens. Maybe the floor is like a little more rubbery than we realize, but still at the same time, it does seem like a more violent way. But maybe they're trying to make it more symbolistic. Like the symbolism is like to be kind of
But
akin to birth, like something
yeah.
like that. Like
Oh yeah,
get
visually, I
thrusted into the world. That's definitely visually what they're going through, and
sure.
it has a bit of like a Matrix vibe too as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, total Matrix vibes. But then as he hatches, Shaw's just a like Shinobi. Well, first we get Charles doing a psychic thing, right? Putting his mind into that empty shell of a body.
He's downloading the updates, giving him his net framework patches, a couple of
Yeah,
others like database updates, so his libraries are growing.
yeah, it's good stuff. It's always good to be updated. Good security practices and
He's like, I
whatnot.
know kung fu now.
And Sebastian's just like Shinobi, and
Yeah, that's a good little like foreboding, like just that menacing shot of all the light behind him, like
yeah,
cascading around him, and as he looks down with his cane.
yeah, just shrouded in darkness. Um, and he's just like, "Yo, what's up? Where am I?" Um, and how did I get here and whatnot? And he kind of has this like memory, it seems, of like him as a skeleton killing himself. Do you see that in the background?
Yeah,
Uh,
like that kind of like that quick flash.
yeah,
Like that's kind of an interesting little
and we get
transition.
that look of Shaw, kind of menacing, like he knows what happened, even though he's being kind of on the down low and I guess ignorant of the situation. So I'm wondering if he remembers his death. So Shinobi Shaw died by the hands of Sebastian Shaw, but then he was resurrected again, and he ended up killing himself in the face because he's face through his face.
Yeah, it was a very violent death.
Yeah.
Shinobi Shaw is interesting because like he has that kind of weird like he's a more modern Chris Claremont character, like at the tail end of what like Claremont was doing in like '91, like the early '90s when he was like shifting out. This was
Yeah.
like the final like gasp of him just doing like whatever. And at that point,
Yeah.
he kind of checked out, but he was still doing things at Marvel. So like he
Yeah.
just like fuck it, I'll make like a
Because
better
he
version.
created this with Jim Lee. That's
Yeah,
why it's an older Chris Claremont
exactly. And Shinobi
jam.
Shaw's kind of cool in the sense that He's like a less like Kitty Pryde, more like someone like the Martian Manhunter or like the Vision, where it's like he can phase his density up and down, like he can make himself more transparent and translucent, but then he can also make himself more solid and more thick
Yeah.
in mass.
Yeah.
So it's like it's got both sides of the spectrum, which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Like that's a dope power to have.
And it's interesting because we're going to get into like his purpose here, but I'll touch on it a little. It's very akin to what Kitty does, Kate Pride does, which I wonder if that's why they chose him, or it just happens to be circumstance that they have similar powers.
Yeah, that could be just a coincidence. I think it's more due to their oh, but then again, that could influence it in some way. I see that there is the chance for the parallel. But she's the Red Queen and he's going to be like the Black Bishop. So I guess they'd be on different levels too, so that might counter that. I think that just might be a coincidence when it comes down to it.
Sure.
It's the circumstance. If it was someone else's, if his son had someone else's powers, he'd still be resurrected regardless.
But then we cut to them kind of going out to that yeah, what would you call this? It seems like it's where the parties all happen. This is the party place.
I think this is just like the exit adjacent to the like resurrection hold that's that underground location that had that like weird specific name. They called it like was it like Magna Red or something like that?
Hmm.
It was some unique name. Arbor
Interesting.
Magna.
Arbor
Yeah,
Magna.
welcome back to Arbor Magna. That's like
Interesting.
so this is probably like the exit to that area specifically, and it's probably localized in like just like a general meeting area. So it does seem like maybe people are also like just around and interested to be like, hey, did my friend come back yet? Like, what's going on? Like, oh, it's just Sebastian Shaw's son. Nobody cares.
Just Sebastian Shaw. Yeah.
They seem a little bit surprised, but at the same time, it's like kind of funny because Shinobi seems to like crassly still know enough about Sebastian and remember to say like, I still want to kill my old man.
Yeah.
He says, see that a Shaw through and through. That's my boy. I'm so proud of you.
And
The
then
bandage.
we get, then we get like the pyro just like Shaw and mutant.
He's still kind of not rebooted yet. It seems.
No, he's not rebooted at all. He needs to get some memory dumps. He needs to get those updates.
Well, this plays off of the stuff that Hickman was setting up before, though, with the irregularities and possible missteps in the resurrection process. So this is just that playing out. Once again, he sowed the seeds to something way in the past, and the thing that pays off is we get to see the second Pyro be like slightly like mentally handicapped.
That's a weird choice. Wouldn't you
Yeah,
just
that's right.
kill him and start over? Right?
Oh, it's such a harsh thing. Mercy kill and then just do it again.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Right?
Oh
If you can. If you can res, why not? Right?
yeah. And then they just get to the keep, like essentially like the palace, like Shinobi's palace. What was it?
Yeah. The
The
black I already forgot.
porch. It had like a different name. It wasn't like yeah, the Blackstone. Blackstone. There we go.
Blackstone.
Like Dragonstone.
The Dragonstone.
They walk there though, and it's like hard to tell with Krakoa sometimes. I know in the last issue they talked about how it was shrinking technically,
Yeah.
but still like they went from this lustrous like grove of trees and just people gathered to like now they're on like this root structure in the edge of Krakoa at Blackstone in just like one panel.
It's weird, right? It's a weird, harsh cut. You're just like, all right, and through this teleporter, and we're here.
I don't even
Um,
think they went through a teleport. I think they just walked. Or is
the,
that maybe that kind of looks like a teleport in the background? I thought
I
that was
thought
just
that was a teleporter, the bright light. I don't know. Could not, maybe
that
not. But
that would make sense. Okay, I just didn't realize that. I thought that was just then like going down like a hallway or something. I see that now. Okay.
um, and then they cut to Blackstone, and he mentions that the island is alive, or this place is alive, and he's like, yeah, yeah, bro, yeah, it's alive.
it's a
And
paradise like for mutants, and
yeah,
it's something that he says that he is actually quite okay with, that it's something more unique, that the paradigm has changed. He's trying to bring him up to speed about the fact that like mutants are now have their own nation state and they're biting for superiority in the world to change the entire functionality of mankind. And he's like, this is just one of the perks. And he
yeah,
kind of brings him to the notion of like, but there's more to it than just that, and I play a greater role being part of the Hellfire Club, and the Hellfire Club's functionality has now changed moving forward in the new landscape.
exactly. And specifically, he kind of brings him up to speed. Um, we make medicine. We trade this medicine. Some places have portals. Some places don't have portals. Um, and he's like, and then he ends with saying, "I don't spend time on Krakow because there's business to tend to." And they go off to Central Park from there. They're just portal hopping, it seems.
Yeah, because after he lays out the whole functionality of just the black market and the white market aspect of the drug game, he also touches on the smuggling of refugees. He literally says that's under the privy of the Hellfire Club now, is getting refugee mutants out of countries that don't particularly work with them. Now they're in Central Park that has been turned into a I guess you could say airport checking point,
Yeah.
like a
Th-
border like patrol point.
Was this wasn't here at Marauders issue 1, right?
No,
Because
not
this
at
is
all.
this is the Central Park one, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that's why
just
he's
an
so shocked
open
when he shows up and he's like,
portal,
"What the fuck? Like this is a
right?
military checkpoint? Like what's going on?"
That's funny. And they're just like, "Welcome back to the US. Do you have anything to declare?" And he's just like, "I'm the Black King. That is my declaration," and walks away.
He says, "Mister," and he's a king. I'm black.
Yeah.
And it just rolls off. But they say that it's more to like keep it under control with the looky loos and like the public. Like the public was getting too close, and it was they were worried about it more being like a hazard in more of a safety sense. So they kind of put like a little military like border point checking zone around the portal to facilitate that better. It's kind of funny too because they're accommodating too. They're just like, he's like, nobody's impeding you. You're fine. Like, it's we just did this for a safety precaution. But you also know that like since the military like operative that's sitting there and checking them in already knows who they are and what they look like just by like that little image on his computer. He's already done a retinal and face scan of them just when they came in, and he's got a little bit of a dossier there that kind of like runs down who's coming in and out.
Yeah.
So it's like they're doing it for a surveillance purpose, but also using it under the guises like, hey, this is just a formality to help you guys out, to keep, the slack-jawed yokels away. Which doesn't seem to work really well because he walks 5 feet and there's like weird mutant fanatics. Like I don't even know what you would say that like worship the mutant.
They got the X robes on. It's interesting.
They it was like right out of like the I guess you could say the last generation of X-Men movies where they had the giant X's on their shirts. Or going back to like, wasn't that
Sure.
oh gosh, was that Grant Morrison did that? Didn't Grant Morrison have those kind of uniforms as well?
Uh,
Yeah,
the
the E
the
for
X,
Extinction
yeah,
ones.
E for
Yeah, those were
extinction,
during
yeah.
yeah, they wore those as well. They're just huge Grant Morrison fans. That's all these guys are. um,
Yeah. And essentially they won't get out of the way, and Sebastian's like, "All right, let's do this. Power me up, yo." And we see Shinobi power Sebastian up, and he
just whacks him with his
just
like cane.
whacks it down. Yeah, smacks it down.
I don't even know if he like increased his density to hit him harder with like more weight behind it, or if he just upright just like, I'm just gonna hit you with this cane. And that's all he really needed him for. I just need someone to whack me with this cane that'll create enough kinetic energy that I can then use in return.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Um, and then we just cut to a new location. It's like That's the end of that. That's
Well,
the
yeah,
end
he
of
just
those.
punches the ground and sends everyone flying like in a huge shockwave, while like one of the other like weird human mutant worshippers is like in the background says, "Praise be, we are seen by the gods." Like this is some weird cultist stuff. Like I guess
Yeah,
they're so fanatical about like how awesome the mutants are, they literally see them as gods. It's kind of funny in a modern era, but that would happen. That's
that
what
would
happened in
happen. That's the
Apocalypse's
thing.
time and all that stuff.
Would
It's just
totally
funny
happen.
to see it in the modern day rendition of the X-Men mythos.
Yes. I think it's good commentary. It still exists, right?
Yeah, I can appreciate that, like the what it harkens back to. It's just it's funny still. It I like that it plays off of that, but it's a weird contemporary turn.
I mean, look at all the flat earthers, man. They
You know
exist.
what? You know what? You got a good point, my friend. I withdraw my minor critique. That was a valid point.
Yeah.
Is this
Uh,
Keen's place they go to? Is that a real
but they
place?
go
I
but they
wonder.
go to Keen's, man. They go to Keen's Steakhouse, man. You ever been to Keen's?
I hear it's Keen.
It's Keen. I'm keen on Keen's.
Uh, but I
Um,
mean, Sebastian Shaw, he's gonna get like a blood red steak and a nice set of red wine. Like
oh yeah.
you could have pictured this coming pretty easy. To
Yeah.
chase with some what looks to be whiskey. It's
Very nice. Very nice.
got that handle
Yeah.
going.
Oh yeah, they do drink whiskey afterwards. Or something. Some
Or
type of
probably like sherry, maybe. A little
yeah.
fancy, like some brandy or something.
Yeah, he would be a little classier, I feel.
Yeah. But
Um,
yeah, they're kind of breaking down their history a little bit, like kind of going through like this like whole new era that's in front of them, but they have to deal with the past. And Shinobi can't even decide if he wants to kill him or not. Still, he's kind of holding on
yeah.
to that one. But
Yeah,
Sebastian's like not too worried. He's like, well, that question is, can you kill me?
yeah.
Like,
He
is he
has
more of a badass, or will the resurrection protocol stop it? Like, what what does he really want to accomplish here?
right. And then they portal hop once again to Tokyo because he mentions what is he mentions Tokyo, right? He goes think about it on a flight to Tokyo. I have urgent business to attend to. And he's just like, bitch, we got portals. We got portals. So they go to Tokyo and um what happens? They meet with who is this? Some guy.
It's
He's
it's the master of, I believe,
is it
like the shogunate, like
show like
it's like
the
some sort of like I guess you could say yakuza kind of style shogunate, like mafia. I guess you could say organization, one of those mini ones that are always in like the background. This one, I don't know if it has ties to the hand.
I was gonna
It
say is it
seems like
like connected to the hand at all?
it probably is because the X-Men that stuff always overlaps, but I don't remember enough about any of Shinobi Shaw's like background misgivings to recall what this organization is. But it seems like they remember him. They thought that like maybe he welched out. They said something about like he was running for his dead or he was even dead, and he actually apologizes for his absence because he says he was assisting in the formation of the mutant state. But I'm like, how are you assisting in the? Is that like a front? Like, are you fronting to these people because, like, you were born just yesterday. Like, what did you really do to hell? But they were holding onto his sword for him, so that was like kind of a cool little keepsake. Like,
Yeah.
apparently they were at least kind of tied to him in a way as like he's an operative, a part of their organization. That's what at least the katana makes me think.
Yes. Um but he gets his sword back finally. And uh we cut to top secret. Eyes only access. The X desk. We get some notes from the desk of X.
Yeah, it's a continuation of like that dossier stuff that seems to point to like it being a breakdown of the intelligence that the Americans or perhaps maybe NATO or the UN forces in some
Yes.
way are compiling information about the mutants on Krakoa and how they're interacting with the greater world. There's like the X-Files part of the mutant, like undercover stuff. Like this, the desk of X seems like it would be like how Mulder and Scully like were those kind of like those special operatives in the FBI. This would be like the mutant version of that.
Yes.
I want to picture there's like a dude who's
That's
like
great.
David Duchovny, where he's sitting there at his desk, and it's like I want to believe as a poster in the background, and it's like it's Nightcrawler like porting away.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna I'm gonna write this Desk of X short film.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's just kind of noting where they've been going. Where's Kitty been going? They've been all over the place. They mentioned Storm messing with the weather. They mentioned moving to the Northern Atlantic at Island M. Um, and anything else of note? Um, they mentioned the speed, right? Uh,
They noticed that there was also information being passed before between Kitty and Bishop, and then they were able to actually hack and acquire that text message conversation. But most of it was just documenting their locations and previous areas that they've gone, saying, should we make note of these places they visited? We're not sure yet if there's anything like actual concrete, like evidence of anything going on there that's worth noting, but we should follow up on it regardless.
right.
And then they break down the actual text message between Kitty and Bishop.
Yes.
Oh, and then they also make that joke at the end of the PS. If you're coming to the holiday racket, bring a bottle. If we go by the budget, we're dry. Thanks.
That's what Jay is.
He's saying like, hey man, we're under budgets, or we're gonna get screwed by the budget, so we can't even bring booze. So you better fucking bring it.
Yep.
From
And
this government liaison. Have a good time.
his name is redacted.
Yep.
Fun. And then we cut to the text message you were talking about,
Yeah.
I believe. Um, do you wanna play this out like some role play? You wanna be KP and I'll be KP, you be LB.
All right.
Let's
Yeah,
do
sure. And if you can't figure that out, KP is Kitty Pryde and
Kitty
LB
Pryde,
is
yeah.
Lucas Bishop.
Lucas
All
Bishop.
right, so let's do this. There's such
All
a
right,
text message conversation. Yeah, let's do it.
all right. It's K.
Hey,
Gonna need an answer. A lot of action here. I'm holding back my other candidates, but I don't want to kick the can down the road forever.
I gave you my answer.
I thought you were kidding when you said no.
No, I was not. And I believe I said hell no.
Plus, you look great in red.
No, I won't, Kitty.
Fine, Bishy.
Sorry, old habit.
You were born to be a real bishop. Why don't you want to be in the Hellfire Club? Oh, God.
Have you ever met anyone at Hellfire Club?
Be the Red Bishop, and I can promise you'll get to observe all the mutants you'd be keeping an eye on anyway. But you'll be in the room. You're going to look good in red.
No, I won't. And these are unsecured burners. Now we're gonna need new ones for the T. Or
Well
4T.
played.
Whatever the hell T is.
Whatever the T is.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Like new ones for T. All right. Yeah, I don't know. There could be almost anyone with a T.
Yeah.
Going by just initials. They didn't even give us more than like the first and last name. They just gave us T.
It just gave you tea, man. Is it like iced tea? You don't want to mess with iced tea.
Or water T.
Or water tea. Ah, yeah, I'm water tea.
Oh man.
Oh, good stuff.
What a weird conversation between fucking Shadowcat and Bishop. That's such a bizarre.
Weird,
Just like
right?
they're texting like teenagers.
They are. They really are. It's ridiculous.
Bishop, you're already called Bishop. Be my Bishop, Bishop. What is this, an exhibit meme?
Yeah, but
He already has the exhibit haircut.
he does. He does.
he's
Oh,
got he's got those cornrows, yeah.
X gonna give it to you. Um, so they were pretty much. She was pretty much just asking him to be a red bishop, right? That
Yeah,
whole
that's it. That's really all it was
in
boiling
a
down to.
weird teenager type of way.
I like how he was also acknowledging, he's like, these burners are insecure. We got to get rid of them now. Fuck.
Yeah,
It's like, this is the first time kitties ever used a burner phone.
right.
Just
Come on,
understand that
man.
they're supposed to be more vague than that, but whatever. That was a weird tangent. It was definitely a weird tangent for this issue to take.
It was yeah, it was interesting. But we cut to Shinobi and Sebastian again, and he's still pushing. It's like you tried to kill me. It was all you. I know it
Yeah,
was. And then he kind of this is him. This is Sebastian kind of kind of hiding what he did and putting it all on the Red Queen and the White Queen, more or less. Um,
yeah. He's building up subterfuge at this moment and trying to mislead him and set him up to get the focus off of him and put it onto someone else so he could use him as an ally. Because he really puts up this good story to make you think Sebastian Shaw is a redeemed man and changed. He said things like, he saw Apocalypse and Charles Xavier shake hands. So he says, why can't he turn over a new leaf and make a better world? But he says, more importantly, like, I need an ally. I need someone like you. I need you on the inside. And I want you to be a part of this. And when doing that, he takes him and he shows him what he's going to be essentially a part of and how he's going to be a part of it. He shows him their ship. But before that, they run into another ship, which is just like a submarine that's actually piloted by, well, I believe, Emma Frost's brother.
yes. Interesting ship.
Because it's the White Queen's bishop, or the White Queen's bishop ship, the White Bishop, because that's where um, they kind of all just port their vehicles and stuff because they're right on top of each other. But it's Christian's Frost ship that he thinks he's going to be piloting, and Shinobi's or Bishop or not. Shinobi's informed that no, he's going to be the Black
The
Bishop,
Black
and this is
Bishop.
going to be your ship.
Yeah. And then he pushes the button. It's like toot toot, and then it appears. Um, Interesting moment. Black Bishop. How many bishops does he have again? Does each one have two bishops?
So far, it says that there's one bishop per one each faction, and then there's a knight that goes underneath that.
A knight. That's what it was.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So each one has a bishop. I'm interested. Did we find out who Emma Frost is?
Yeah, that's what I was talking
Oh,
about. The other ship,
it's yeah,
that's Christian
that's
Frost. Her,
Christian
her
Frost. Yeah,
brother is the one who
yeah,
pilots that. That's
yes,
because they're all literally ported right next to each other on top of each other. So it's like a situation where he's like, "Oh, is that my ship?" And it's like, "No, this is the ship I'm talking about." And
yeah,
then the kitty ship is in the beginning over by that crazy mushroom castle is like just ported there as well. And so they're all three ships are revealed, but they've never revealed who the knights are yet or any of that. And Bishop is implied to be the red bishop, and Shinobi is now put in as the black bishop with his crazy vehicle, and he gives him the remote to it. And he says, "You got the keys to it," and he's gonna have him be essentially his ally on the inside of the Hellfire Club, so he can start pushing back against a lot of the stuff that he feels that Emma, the White Queen, has kind of put him in. So he's trying to get more leverage, as Sebastian always does. And then there's the big reveal is that, like, well, let me tell you the truth. Since you're working with me and you want to know, and this is where he plays his hand. He says it was, the Red Queen and the White Queen that conspired to murder you, which is kind of funny to me because, like, I believe the White Queen, that makes sense. But the Red Queen, it's like he didn't even know who the Red Queen didn't exist until like recently. So it's like that's a
yes.
weird one to use.
Yeah, you'd think he would use her name. But we also get this like a scene of him putting his hand in his face again.
Yeah, which is like pretty rough, but also it's such a phase that like it doesn't shock me. Like there's no gore to it, so it's almost like, oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was like, that's cool, but then I was also like, okay, I wasn't too. The image didn't stick out. I almost missed it like the first time I went through. I was just like, oh yeah, there's a finger coming out of his head. He's like scrambling his brain with his ability.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
But
And
now he's pointed him at the Red and White Queen with this kind of reveal, and that helps him kind of get him under his wing so he can use him as an ally.
yes, and that is where this issue ends. It's interesting. We're already seeing some deception happening on Sebastian's end. Him trying to stir up the pot and stirring up the pot by stirring up his allies. I wonder if this will bite him in the ass or what will happen. What do you think?
I kind of see that it's building up towards something that's going to be a little more um a slow burn. Like it's not anything that he's going to try to pull yet. It's going to be probably issues down the line where he's like, all right, all my pieces are in place, because they're literally like pieces on a chessboard with their naming and how it's working. He's literally setting up that kind of concept, that long game. So I don't think we're going to see anything anytime soon, but when it does go off, I think he's going to be surprised again, because his hubris and his arrogance always seems to be his downfall. So even with this long game he's playing, it's not going to pay off in the way I think Sebastian's hoping. And Shinobi probably, if anything, will get his revenge when he finds out
Or
the truth.
or stab himself again?
Yeah, he's just like, I'll show my fist in my head.
That's his move. That's his go-to.
Yeah.
It's funny. Um, but yeah, what are some standout moments that you enjoyed in this issue?
The few visually moments that I will say did kind of stand out at least a little bit, where I can recall through the whole thing, is the first shot of the three castles from the above view, just because of the comic like spatial awareness of that,
Yeah.
and then the two moments with Shaw standing above his son with that kind of silhouette with the light and his cane there, and then the one at the end with Shaw standing in front of the sun setting. Those two both kind of connected and like felt like a nice little bookend to the whole story.
Hmm.
And that would be the visual end. The reveal end, I like the long game that Shaw's building and pushing towards, and like how he's arranging all the pieces, and how like all these little like factions are playing off of the landscape that Hickman has built with the X-Men mythos moving forward. Like they mention every little thing that's tied to it. It all interconnects, it all interlaces. So I have to say that this was a really good Marauders issue. And the thing that I really, really thought stood out the most is that this was like a actual Marauders Kitty Pride team like vacant issue with none of their real appearances except maybe their boats and like
Yeah.
references, but it still was great. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought that that team dynamic really kind of fleshed out the Marauders like title and the character and the plot line, but this shift away from it didn't hurt at all and was like actually just as enjoyable. And that was the big shocking thing to me, is like I thought, okay, Marauders I'd associate with Kitty and her ragtag group,
Hmm.
but it's like Shaw's kind of started to take the spotlight, and it's not
Yeah.
bad. It feels organic. I enjoy it a lot.
I dig it a lot, and you're seeing. I'm the one we're not getting a lot of is what's going on with I guess Emma, but we kind of got a lot of it just handed it to us in a lot of Hickman's notes and stuff like that without any visual explanation at least. So I wonder what's going on with Emma. She's just she's making them trades happen because she's doing all the legal stuff, all the like with the goods and the medicine and whatnot.
Well, think about it. In Marauders issue 1, it seemed like that focused a lot on Emma and a
Yeah,
lot
I
more
guess you're
on
right.
her
Yeah.
building the team and then letting Kitty loose. And then issues 2 kind of was more Kitty and doing her thing. But Shaw and Emma had their little background points. And then this one kind of shifted more over to Shaw. So I
Yeah.
think we'll probably, if anything, they're going to keep that kind of progression. Maybe the next issue will go back more on Emma, because really she just got referenced. Her brother's boat was shown, but like that's the same thing with Kitty, is like they both were kind of absent in this because it was meant to be kind of a Shaw piece in the Marauders progression, which like I said, it worked. That was kind of cool, but we'll see if they. Now, I like the plot threads that they're building with like the different factions and how they utilize Krakoa. Like it's
Hmm.
cool to see someone like Shaw being Shaw in the landscape that is what the current X-Men are part of. Like he's using those tools naturally, like how you would expect that character react in that environment.
Sure. There was a lot of walk and talk. I felt like I was in an Aaron Sorkin joint.
Come on, is that single camera pan? We're gonna follow you along, and it's
Yeah.
just there you go. Yeah, there definitely was a lot of that. There was a lot of dialogue. I mean, shit, they went to a steak joint and they had like a whole thing.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting.
And they got whiskey or some type of drink
Yeah,
afterwards.
some
Kept the
fancy.
party going.
Yeah, it was. He wined and dined him solid, and he's like, "So now be my red bishop or my black bishop."
um, and we learn about Bishop being the bishop finally.
Yeah, I always thought that that was just like going to be like a misnomer and it wasn't going to actually happen, and then they were like, "No, you're going to do it." Yeah, it's funny. uh, but they dodged that one by
Yeah.
not making him the black bishop because that just would have been weird. That would have been two on the
Yeah.
nose.
Nope. Nope. No.
Maybe two on the nose. Two on the nose. Like, what are you guys even trying?
um, that Colt was interesting. That was different.
Yeah, I want to see where that goes because that seems like another thing that maybe Hickman's trying to sew into this story. Who knows? I mean, Jerry Dugan's been doing good with Marauders, so I'd say keep it under his hands with whatever Hickman's doing to touch it off.
Yeah,
They make a good team.
I dig
I
it.
I, I want to see more of what they can pull out in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am excited to see what happens next. Any last thoughts?
No, for Marauders though, going forward, I really am just excited to see how this weird series that should never really exist in this iteration keeps going because like
Right?
it's defying the laws of X-Men. I mean, there's a Marauders team that doesn't even have Gambit on it, or there's no Mr. Sinister involved, or
No.
I mean, shit, they even have Exodus here, and he ran the Marauders for a quick minute. So like, none of those characters are like history is there. It's just the name and their use of it is completely fascinating and intriguing.
It's definitely interesting. It's turning into something. It was just like a series of craziness, but now that we're getting this kind of like backstabbing and intrigue happening, uh, I'm starting to get more into the story. I was just in it for Kitty originally, but now I'm like, ooh, some walking, talking, some backstabbing. I'm in.
Yeah, I do like this kind of Games of Thrones level kind of like building of betrayal that's like being the seeds are being sown deep.
Mhm. I dig it. I dig it. But that'll do it for this week, folks. This week, folks. This week, folks. I could
These
talk.
weak folk, they're
These
so
weak
weak and
folk.
frail,
You're so weak, all of you. You're so
emaciated. Get outside.
yeah. Get out. Throw a ball. Eat something. Eat some protein. Eat some animal protein.
Hmm.
Get on that. But next week we will be talking Excalibur issue number 3, going back to the magic realm, seeing
Ooh,
what's going on over there.
this is gonna be a good issue. Things are gonna go down.
Yeah, things. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So this will be fun, folks. This will be fun. But that'll conclude this week's episode of Podcast of X. Remember, the robots, they gonna kill you. I left out the I left out parts of that sentence. That's how much they're gonna kill you. We don't have time to talk about how
You
much they're
get
gonna
out of there.
you
Run.
gotta just go. Just get out. Just go. Get out of here.
According
Leave.
to one of the flawed Terminator movies, if you go out into the middle of like I think it's like the Mojave Desert, there's like a compound, like a military compound. You can write it out.
There you
So
go.
there you go.
There
Dig
you
through James Cameron's flawed library. It's got some gold ones, but most of it's pretty bad.
go.
This point.
At this point, yeah. Um, that'll do, folks. Go read a book, and we will catch you next week.